Disclaimer.
I had 1.8 million followers, and every single one of them watched me die on a nightclub floor while they recorded it.
My name is Elena Simone Carter. I am 26 years old. I died for 8 minutes on August 14, 2023 in Miami, Florida.
I grew up invisible. My mother worked 2 jobs just to keep the lights on in our small apartment in Overtown. Before I begin, please subscribe so more people can hear testimonies like this. She left before I woke up and came home after I went to bed. I learned early that if I wanted attention, I had to take it. So I did. I found it on Instagram when I was 17. I posted a photo in a tight dress I borrowed from a friend, and within an hour, I had more likes than I had ever gotten in my entire life. Boys I never spoke to were sliding into my DMs, girls were asking where I got the dress, and for the first time, I felt seen. That feeling became everything. By the time I turned 23, I had 1.8 million followers. I was making more money than my mother ever did. Brand deals, sponsored posts, club appearances. I was flying to Los Angeles, New York, and Dubai. I was wearing designer clothes I could not pronounce. I was living the life I used to watch other girls live, and now they were watching me. But no one saw what happened when the camera turned off. Every morning I woke up and the first thing I did was check my phone. How many likes did my last post get? How many new followers? How many comments? I would scroll through other girls' pages and compare myself to them. She has a flatter stomach. Her waist is smaller. Her face is prettier. I would spend 2 hours in the gym not because I loved it, but because I was terrified of losing my shape. I would take 50 photos just to post one. I would edit my waist, smooth my skin, adjust the lighting. I was creating a version of myself that did not exist, and I was starting to hate the real me. The outfits got tighter, the photos got more revealing. Bikini pics, gym selfies in sports bras and leggings that left nothing to the imagination, mirror shots in dresses that clung to every curve. I told myself I was confident. I told myself I was empowered. I told the girls who followed me that they should love their bodies and show them off. But late at night, when the likes stopped coming and the comments slowed down, I felt empty. I would lie in bed scrolling through my own page like I was looking at a stranger. The girl in those photos looked happy. She looked free. But I did not feel any of that. I felt trapped. I felt like I was performing every single day just to prove I was worth looking at, and the worst part was, I did not know how to stop. I started drinking more, going out more, taking pills to stay awake, taking pills to fall asleep. I surrounded myself with people who only knew the version of me I posted online. No one asked how I was really doing. And I never told them. I justified everything. I told myself the revealing clothes were just fashion. I told myself the attention was harmless. I told myself I was helping young girls be confident in their bodies. But I saw the comments. I saw the men who were not following me for fitness tips. I saw the girls who were 14, 15, 16, asking me what I ate, how I worked out, how they could look like me. And I ignored the feeling in my chest that told me I was leading them into the same trap I was stuck in. I was not dressed for me. I was dressing for them, for the likes, for the validation, for the proof that I mattered. And I was so addicted to being seen that I could not see myself anymore. I did not believe in God. I did not grow up in church. My mother tried to take me a few times when I was little, but it never stuck. I believed in energy. I believed in manifesting. I believed that if I worked hard enough and looked good enough, the universe would give me what I deserved. But deep down, in the moments I could not run from, I knew something was missing. I knew the emptiness inside me was not going away no matter how many followers I gained or how much money I made. I just did not know what to do about it. So I kept posting, I kept performing, I kept pretending, and I told myself that one day it would all make sense. But that day never came. August 14th, 2023. That was the night everything ended. I had a paid appearance at LIV nightclub in Miami Beach. $10,000 just to show up, take photos, post a few stories. I had done it 100 times before. It was easy money. I spent the entire day getting ready. Hair appointment at 2, nails at 4, makeup at 6. I stood in front of my closet for 30 minutes trying to decide what to wear. I picked a black bodycon dress, tight, short, the kind that showed every curve and left almost nothing to the imagination. I paired it with silver heels so high I could barely walk in them. I looked in the mirror and took a deep breath. I looked good. I knew I looked good, but I did not feel good. I pushed the feeling down. I took a shot of tequila, then another. I posted a mirror selfie with the caption, "Tonight is going to be a movie." Within 2 minutes, it had 5,000 likes. My driver picked me up at 8:30. The sun was setting over Biscayne Bay, painting the sky in shades of pink and orange. I sat in the back seat scrolling through Instagram, watching other influencers post their fits for the night. I felt the familiar knot in my stomach. Comparison, competition, the constant need to be better, sexier, more liked. I took another shot from the bottle I brought with me. By the time we pulled up to Live, I was already tipsy. The line outside wrapped around the block, but I walked straight to the front. The bouncer knew my face. He opened the velvet rope without a word. Cameras flashed. People shouted my name. I smiled. I waved. I played the part. Inside, the music was so loud I could feel it in my chest. The lights flashed in sync with the bass. Bodies moved like waves on a dark ocean. I was led to the VIP section where bottles of champagne were already waiting. A promoter I had worked with before greeted me with a hug and handed me a glass. I drank. I danced. I posed for photos with people I did not know. I posted stories. I smiled for the camera, and the whole time, I felt nothing. Around midnight, the promoter leaned in close and shouted over the music, "You want something to make the night better?" I should have said no. I should have asked what it was, but I was already drunk and I was already numb and I just wanted to feel something other than empty, so I nodded. He handed me a small pink pill. I did not think twice. I swallowed it with champagne. For the first 20 minutes, I felt amazing. The music sounded better. The lights looked brighter. I felt loose, free. I danced harder. I laughed louder. I felt like the girl in my photos. Then my heart started racing. At first I thought it was just the music, just the adrenaline. But then my chest tightened. My hands started shaking. I tried to grab the edge of the table to steady myself, but my legs gave out. I hit the floor hard. The music did not stop. People screamed. Some rushed toward me. Others pulled out their phones and started recording. I could hear everything, but I could not move. I could not speak. My vision blurred. My heart pounded so fast it felt like it was trying to escape my chest. Someone shouted for security. Strong hands lifted me off the ground and carried me outside. The cold night air hit my face, but it did not help. I was gasping, choking. My body was shaking uncontrollably. Sirens, flashing lights. Paramedics surrounded me. I felt them rip open my dress. I felt the cold shock pads on my chest. I heard a voice say, "She is not breathing." Another voice, "We are losing her." And then, I felt myself lift. I was above my body. I could see myself lying on the pavement outside the club. My dress was torn. My makeup was smeared. My eyes were open, but empty. Paramedics were working on my chest. 1, 2, 3. Compressions. Someone was bagging me, forcing air into my lungs. People stood in a circle, phones out, recording my death like it was content. I tried to scream. Nothing came out. I tried to reach for my body. My hand passed through it like smoke. I was there, but I was not. Then I felt it. A pull. Not from above, from below. The sound of the sirens faded. The flashing lights dimmed. The voices became distant echoes. The air around me grew thick and heavy, hot, burning. I was not floating anymore. I was falling. Slowly at first, then faster. The darkness thickened around me like oil. I could not see where I was going, but I could feel the heat rising from below, and I knew. This was not a dream. This was not a hallucination. This was real. I was dying. And I was going somewhere I was not ready to go. The fall felt endless. I was not tumbling. I was being pulled, like invisible hands had wrapped around my ankles and were dragging me down into something I could not see. The darkness was thick, heavy. It pressed against my skin like wet cloth. I tried to breathe, but the air was wrong. It tasted like ash and burned the back of my throat. Then I stopped. My feet touched ground. The surface beneath me was rough and hot, like standing barefoot on pavement in the middle of summer. I looked down. The ground was cracked stone, glowing faintly red in places, like embers buried just beneath the surface. Thin trails of smoke rose from the cracks and disappeared into the darkness above me. I looked up. There was no sky, just blackness, no stars, no moon, no light except for the dim glow coming from below. I turned in a slow circle. The air was thick with heat, not flames, not fire touching me, but heat radiating from everywhere at once. It pressed down on my chest, making it hard to breathe. My hands were shaking, my legs felt weak. I wanted to run, but there was nowhere to go, just endless darkness in every direction. Then I heard it. A sound, distant at first, soft, like wind moving through a tunnel, but as I listened closer, I realized it was not wind. It was voices, crying, moaning, not loud, not screaming, just constant. A low hum of anguish that seemed to come from the ground itself. I felt my heart start to race. Panic rose in my chest like water filling a sinking ship. I opened my mouth to scream, but no sound came out. My throat was dry, my voice was gone. Where am I? The question formed in my mind, but I already knew the answer. I did not want to believe it. I did not want to accept it. But deep down, in a place I had ignored my entire life, I knew. This was hell. I took a step forward. The heat beneath my feet intensified. I stopped. I looked around again, searching for something, anything, a way out, a door, a light, but there was nothing, just the glow of the embers, just the smoke, just the voices. Then I saw them, shadows, moving in the distance, slow, aimless. They were shaped like people, but I could not see their faces. They drifted through the darkness like ghosts, their movements repetitive. One shadow reached forward over and over again, grasping at something that was not there. Another knelt on the ground, hands covering their face, rocking back and forth. I wanted to call out to them. I wanted to ask for help. But something in me knew they could not hear me. They were trapped, locked in their own torment. And I was alone. The weight of that realization crushed me. I had never felt so alone in my entire life. Not when my mother worked late. Not when I cried myself to sleep after reading cruel comments online. Not even in the moments when I sat in a crowded club surrounded by people and felt completely invisible. This was different. This was isolation on a level I did not know existed. It was not just physical. It was spiritual. It was the absence of everything good, everything warm, everything alive. I sank to my knees. The heat from the ground burned through my skin, but I did not care. I wrapped my arms around myself and started to cry. The tears came hot and fast, but they brought no relief. They just evaporated in the heat. I do not know how long I stayed like that. Time did not work the same way here. Seconds felt like hours. Minutes felt like years. There was no clock, no sunrise, no end in sight. Just the heat, just the darkness, just the voices. And then I felt it. A presence. I was not alone anymore. I lifted my head slowly. My breath caught in my throat. There was someone standing in front of me. Not a shadow, not a faceless figure, a presence. I could not see a body. I could not see a face, but I could feel it. The air around this presence was different. It was not comforting. It was not warm. It was authority. It was true. And it was looking directly at me. I tried to speak. My voice came out broken and hoarse. Where am I? The presence did not answer with words. Instead, I felt the answer inside me, like it was being written on my heart. You know where you are. I shook my head. Tears streamed down my face. No, this is not real. This cannot be real. I am not supposed to be here. I did not do anything that bad. I am a good person. I helped people. I was just living my life. The presence interrupted, not with a voice, with a feeling, a knowing, and it was heavier than anything I had ever felt. You were given a body to reflect my image, but you sold it for attention. The words hit me like a physical blow. I doubled over, gasping for air. My chest tightened. My hands gripped the hot stone beneath me. "No," I whispered. "No, I was just being confident. I was just helping girls love themselves. Every girl who starved herself to look like you is written in your book." I froze. My mind flashed to the comments, the messages, the girls who asked me what I ate, how I worked out, how they could get a body like mine, the girls who were 13, 14, 15. I remembered ignoring the ones that worried me. I remembered deleting the ones that made me feel guilty. "I did not tell them to do that," I said, my voice shaking. "I did not force them to. Every man who lusted after your image, you placed the stumbling block." I saw their faces, the men in my DMs, the comments under my photos, the way they talked about my body like it was an object. The way I posed, the way I angled the camera, the way I knew exactly what I was doing. I told myself it was their problem. I told myself I was not responsible for how they reacted. But deep down, I knew. I knew what I was doing. I knew what I was feeding. My hands started to shake. My breath came in short, shallow gasps. I did not mean to. "You were never meant to be worshipped. You were meant to point them to me." The weight of those words crushed me. I fell forward, pressing my forehead against the burning ground. The pain did not matter anymore. Nothing mattered except the truth that was pouring into me like poison. I had made myself a god. I had built an altar to my own image, and I had invited millions of people to worship there with me. Then the presence did something I did not expect. It showed me. The darkness around me shifted. The stone beneath me disappeared. I was no longer kneeling. I was standing in a room I did not recognize. White walls, bright lights, a full-length mirror, and in front of the mirror stood a girl. She could not have been older than 15. Thin, too thin. Her ribs were visible through her shirt. Her face was gaunt. Her eyes were hollow. She was staring at herself in the mirror with a look I recognized instantly. Disgust. She turned to the side, sucked in her stomach, pinched the skin on her waist. Tears ran down her face. I wanted to look away, but I could not move. Then I saw what she was holding, her phone, and on the screen was a photo, my photo, one of my Instagram posts, a bikini pic I had posted 6 months before I died. I posed perfectly, waist snatched, abs showing. Caption, "Consistency is key." The girl looked at the photo. Then she looked at herself. Then she started to cry harder. "I will never look like that," she whispered to herself. "I am disgusted." The scene shifted. I was in another room, a bedroom, dark, late at night. A man sat on the edge of his bed, phone in hand, scrolling through my page. His wife was asleep next to him. He zoomed in on one of my photos, a tight dress, a pose I knew would get attention. He stared at it for a long time. Then he looked at his wife, then back at the phone, and I saw it, the comparison, the disappointment, the lust. He got up quietly and went to the bathroom. I did not need to see what happened next. I already knew. The scene shifted again. A college dorm room. 2 girls sitting on a bed. One of them was showing the other my page. "Look at her," she said. "She is perfect. I wish I looked like that." The other girl laughed bitterly. "She probably does not even eat. I have been skipping meals for 2 weeks and I still do not look like her. Maybe you should try those diet pills." I did. They made me sick. Well, something is working for her. The scene shifted again, and again, and again. I saw a woman in her 30s standing in her closet, crying because nothing fit the way she wanted it to. She had my page open on her phone, comparing herself to a version of me that did not even exist. I saw a teenage boy showing my photos to his friends, making comments I could not repeat. They laughed. They shared. They objectified. I saw a girl sitting in a therapist's office, talking about her eating disorder. When the therapist asked when it started, she pulled out her phone and showed her a screenshot. It was one of my posts. I saw marriages strained, friendships broken, girls in bathroom stalls making themselves throw up, men in dark rooms feeding addictions. Teenage boys are learning to see women as objects. Teenage girls are learning to see themselves as products, and every single one of them had been influenced by me, not directly, not intentionally, but influenced, because I had used my body as a brand, because I had made my worth about how I looked, because I had posted photos I knew would get attention, and I did not care what kind of attention it was, because I had ignored the voice inside me that told me I was leading people down the wrong path. I fell to my knees again. The vision stopped. I was back in the darkness, back in the heat, back in the place I did not want to be. I did not know, I sobbed. I did not know it was that bad. I did not know. You did know. The words cut through me like a blade, and I realized it was true. I did know. I ignored it. I justified it. I silenced it with alcohol and pills and validation. But I knew. The presence spoke again. You were created to reflect my image. But you made yourself an idol, and you taught an entire generation to do the same. I could not breathe. I could not think. The weight of it was too much. The guilt, the shame, the realization that I had spent my entire adult life leading people away from God without even believing in Him. I looked up at the presence, tears streaming down my face. I am sorry, I whispered. I am so sorry. I did not mean to. I just wanted to be seen. I just wanted to matter. The presence was silent. Then it spoke one last time. You always mattered. But you looked for worth in the eyes of people who could not save you. And with that, the presence began to fade. Wait, I cried out. Please, do not leave me here. Please, I will change. I will do anything, please. But the presence was gone. And I was alone again. In the heat, in the darkness, in the place I had built for myself with every photo, every post, every choice I made to be worshipped instead of to worship. I do not know how long I stayed there. Time had no meaning. There was no clock, no sunrise, no relief, just the constant heat, the constant pressure, the constant weight of what I had done. I thought about my life. Every moment, every choice, every photo I posted knew exactly what I was doing. I thought about the girls who followed me, the men who lusted after me, the relationships I damaged without ever meeting the people involved. I thought about the influence I had and how carelessly I used it. And I thought about God. I had never believed in Him. Not really. I said I believed in energy, in the universe, in manifestation. But standing there in that place, I realized how foolish that was. Energy did not create me. The universe did not knit me together. And I could not manifest my way out of the consequences of my choices. God was real. And I had spent my entire life ignoring Him. I started to pray. I did not know how. I had never done it before. But the words came anyway, broken and desperate. God, if you are real, if you can hear me, I am sorry. I am so sorry. I did not know. I did not understand. I thought I was just living my life. I thought I was just being confident. But I see it now. I see what I did. I see the damage, I see the pain, and I am sorry. The darkness did not respond. I kept praying. I wasted everything you gave me. I took the body you created and I made it a product. I took the influence you allowed and I used it to feed my ego. I led people away from you without even knowing you existed, and I am sorry. I am so sorry. Still nothing. I collapsed forward, pressing my face against the burning ground. The heat seared my skin, but I did not care. The physical pain was nothing compared to the weight inside me. Please, I whispered, please do not leave me here. I will do anything. I will change. I will tell everyone. I will warn them. Just please, give me another chance. Silence. Then, just when I thought I would be there forever, I felt it. A shift. The air changed. The heat lessened, not by much, but enough to notice. I lifted my head, and I saw light, Not the dim glow of embers. Real light. Bright, pure, cutting through the darkness like a blade. I squinted against it. It was so bright it hurt to look at, but I could not look away. The light moved closer, slowly, steadily, and as it approached, I felt something I had not felt since I arrived in that place: hope. The light stopped in front of me, and from within it, a voice spoke. Not the same presence as before. This voice was different. It was gentle, firm, but not harsh. Stand up. I tried, my legs were shaking, my body felt heavy, but I forced myself to my feet. The voice spoke again. Do you understand what you have seen? I nodded, tears streaming down my face. Yes. Do you understand the weight of influence? Yes. Do you understand that every choice you made shaped the lives of others? Yes. My voice broke. I understand. The light grew brighter. I had to shield my eyes. Your time is not finished. My heart stopped. What? I whispered. You will return, but not to the life you had. You will return to warn them. You will tell them the truth. You will show them what you have seen, and you will use the influence you once wasted to point them to me. I fell to my knees again, but this time it was not from despair. It was from relief, from gratitude, from something I had never felt before: grace. I will, I said, sobbing. I will, I promise. I will tell everyone. I will warn them. I will change everything. The voice spoke one last time. Then go. And suddenly, I was moving, not falling, rising. The light surrounded me. The heat disappeared. The darkness shattered like glass. I felt myself being pulled upward with a force I could not resist. It was violent, fast. My body was weightless. I heard voices, distant at first, then louder. Come on, stay with us. Beeping, machines, footsteps. We have got a pulse, we have got a pulse. Air rushed into my lungs, it burned, I gasped, choked. My eyes flew open, bright lights, white ceiling, faces hovering over me, a doctor, a nurse, their eyes wide with shock. She is back, the nurse said, her voice shaking. She is back. I tried to speak, but my throat was raw. My chest ached. My entire body felt like it had been hit by a truck. The doctor leaned over me, shining a light in my eyes. Elena, can you hear me? I nodded weakly. You are at Mount Sinai Medical Center. You overdosed. Your heart stopped. We have been working on you for 8 minutes. Do you understand? 8 minutes. I was dead for 8 minutes. But it felt like a lifetime. I tried to sit up, but my hands gently pushed me back down. Easy, the nurse said. You need to rest. You are very weak. I did not care. I turned my head and looked around the room. Machines, IV lines, monitors beeping steadily. I was alive. I was back. But I was not the same. The next few days were a blur. Doctors ran tests. Police asked questions. My mother flew in from Miami, crying, holding my hand, asking me what happened. I could not tell her. Not yet. I could not tell anyone. Because how do you explain to someone that you went to hell? How do you tell them that you saw the consequences of every photo you posted, every outfit you wore, every choice you made to be worshipped instead of to worship? How do you tell them that you met God in the darkest place imaginable and He gave you a second chance you did not deserve? I stayed in the hospital for 3 days. When I was discharged, I went home to my apartment in Miami, the same apartment I had posted 1,000 photos from, the same mirror I had posed in front of, the same closet full of clothes I had used to build my brand. I walked in and looked around. Everything felt different. The glamour was gone. The excitement was gone. All I saw was emptiness. I sat on my bed and opened my phone. 1.8 million followers. Thousands of unread messages, brands asking if I was okay, friends asking when I would post again. I stared at the screen for a long time. Then I started deleting. I deleted my Instagram, my TikTok, my OnlyFans account. Every platform I had used to build my image, gone. People called, people texted, people asked what I was doing. I did not answer. Because I knew what I had to do. I had been given a second chance. not to go back to the life I had, but to warn others, to tell the truth, to show them what I had seen. 3 weeks after I died, I gave my life to Jesus. I walked into a small church in Cokendale, sat in the back row, and cried through the entire service. When the pastor gave the altar call, I stood up on shaking legs and walked to the front. I got baptized 2 months later, and I started telling my story, not for likes, not for followers, not for validation, but because I had seen the truth, and the truth was this: your body is not your brand, your worth is not in how you look, and the applause of the world means absolutely nothing if it costs you your soul. I started speaking in schools, in churches, online. I told young girls about the dangers of comparison, about the lies of social media, about the weight of influence. I showed them what happens when you make yourself an idol. And I dressed differently, modestly, not because I was ashamed of my body, but because I finally understood that my body was not created to be worshipped. It was created to reflect the glory of God. Some people mocked me. Some people called me fake. Some people said I was doing it for attention. But I did not care, because I had been to a place where attention does not matter, where followers mean nothing, where every choice is weighed and every consequence is revealed. And I was not going back. I started small. I did not have a platform anymore. I did not have followers. I did not have a brand. All I had was my story and the desperate need to tell it. The first time I shared my testimony was at a youth event in a small church in Liberty City. There were maybe 40 kids there, most of them between 13 and 17. I stood at the front of the room with sweaty palms and a racing heart. I had posted in front of millions of people without fear, but standing in front of 40 teenagers to tell them I went to hell terrified me. I opened my mouth, and the words came out shaky. My name is Elena, and I died. The room went silent. I told them everything: the lifestyle, the photos, the validation, the emptiness, the overdose, the descent, what I saw, what I learned, what I lost, and what I gained. When I finished, I looked up. Some of them were crying. Others stared at me like they did not know what to say. A girl in the front row raised her hand. "Do you regret it?" she asked. "Do you regret everything you did?" I nodded. Every single day. But regret without change is just guilt. So I chose to change. After the event, girls came up to me. One of them showed me her Instagram page. It looked like mine used to. Tight outfits, posed photos, thousands of followers. "I do not know how to stop," she whispered. "I feel like if I stop posting like this, no one will care about me anymore." I took her hands in mine. I thought the same thing, but the truth is, the people who only care about how you look will never truly care about you, and the validation you get from strangers will never fill the hole inside you. Only God can do that. She cried, and I cried with her. That was the beginning. I started speaking everywhere they would have me: youth groups, women's conferences, recovery centers, colleges. I shared my testimony over and over again. And every time someone came up to me afterwards and said the same thing. I needed to hear this. I started a new Instagram account, but this time it was different. No bikini photos, no tight dresses, no posing for validation, just my face, my words, my testimony. I posted about modesty, about worth, about the lies the world tells young women, about the truth God revealed to me in the darkest place I had ever been. The account grew slowly, not because of my body, but because of my message. And the messages started pouring in. Girls told me they had been starving themselves trying to look like influencers. Mothers told me their daughters had been hospitalized for eating disorders. Men told me they had been struggling with lust and pornography, and my story helped them see the damage it caused. Women told me they had been dressing to get attention from men because they did not know their worth came from God. One message stood out. It was from a 15-year-old girl named Jasmine. She wrote, "I have been following influencers like you used to be for 2 years. I have been skipping meals. I have been taking pills. I have been posting photos I am not comfortable with because I thought that is what I had to do to matter, but after hearing your story, I realized I was killing myself for people who do not even know my name. Thank you for warning me before it was too late." I read that message 3 times. Then I cried for an hour, because that was why I was still here. That was why God gave me another chance. Not to go back to my old life, but to save others from the path I had walked. I changed everything. The way I dressed, the way I spoke, the way I saw myself. I stopped editing my photos. I stopped comparing myself to other women. I stopped seeking validation from people who could never fill me. And for the first time in my life, I felt free. 6 months after I came back from the dead, I was invited to speak at a large church in Atlanta. Over 1,000 people in the audience. I stood on that stage with a microphone in my hand and looked out at the crowd. Faces of all ages, young girls, mothers, fathers, teenagers, and I knew exactly what I needed to say. "I used to think my body was my power," I began. "I thought if I looked good enough, dressed sexy enough, posted the right photos, I would matter. I thought the likes and the followers and the attention meant I was valuable, but I was wrong, because the moment my heart stopped beating, none of that mattered. The followers did not save me, the likes did not bring me back, and the validation I spent my whole life chasing disappeared the second I entered eternity." I paused. The room was silent. What I learned in those 8 minutes I was dead is this: your body is not your brand. It is a temple. And when you use it to glorify yourself instead of God, you are not just hurting yourself. You are influencing everyone who sees you. Every young girl who looks at your photos and feels inadequate. Every man who looks at your body and feeds his lust. Every person who follows you and learns to measure their worth by their appearance. You are shaping their lives. And you will stand before God and answer for that influence. A young woman in the 3rd row started crying. An older woman next to her put her arm around her. I continued. The world told me that modesty was outdated, that confidence meant showing off my body, that empowerment meant dressing however I wanted without caring what anyone thought. But that is a lie, because real confidence does not come from how you look. It comes from knowing who you are in Christ. And real empowerment is not found in how many people lust after you. It is found in using your influence to point others to God. I opened my Bible. My hands were shaking, but I read the words clearly. 1 Timothy 2:9 says, "I also want the women to dress modestly, with decency and propriety, adorning themselves not with elaborate hairstyles or gold or pearls or expensive clothes, but with good deeds, appropriate for women who profess to worship God." This is not about shame. This is not about hiding. This is about understanding that your worth is not in your appearance. It is in your character. It is in your heart. It is in how you reflect the image of God. I closed the Bible and looked out at the audience. I know some of you are struggling with this right now. You post photos and you feel that rush of validation when the likes come in, but then you feel empty when they stop. You compare yourself to other women and you never feel good enough. You dress to get attention because you think that is the only way people will notice you. And you are exhausted. You are tired of performing. You are tired of competing. You are tired of feeling like you are never enough. Heads nodded. Women wiped tears from their eyes. I want you to know something. You are enough, not because of how you look, but because God created you in His image. And when you understand that, you do not need the validation of strangers. You do not need to compete with other women. You do not need to use your body to prove your worth, because your worth was established the moment God breathed life into you. I took a deep breath. After I came back, I made a decision. I would never again use my influence to lead people away from God. I deleted every platform I had. I gave up the money. I gave up the fame. I gave up everything I thought mattered. And I started over. I started dressing modestly, not because someone forced me, but because I finally understood that my body was not created to be consumed. It was created to glorify God. I paused and looked directly into the camera recording the service. If you are watching this and you have been posting photos that you know are feeding lust, I want you to stop. Not tomorrow, not next week, today. Delete them. Turn away from that lifestyle. Because every day you continue is another day you are leading people into darkness, and you will answer for that. The room was completely still. If you are struggling with comparison, I want you to unfollow every account that makes you feel inadequate. Stop measuring yourself against women whose lives are filtered and edited. Stop trying to look like someone else. God did not create you to be a copy. He created you to be you, and that is enough. I felt the Holy Spirit moving in that room. I could see it on the faces of the people listening. If you are a young girl watching this, and you have been starving yourself, taking pills, doing dangerous things to your body because you think you need to look a certain way, I am begging you to stop. Your body is a gift. It is not your enemy. And the standard the world has set is a lie. You do not need a flat stomach to be loved. You do not need a certain waist size to matter. You do not need to look like an Instagram model to be beautiful. You are already beautiful because God made you. Tears streamed down my face, but I did not stop. And if you are a man watching this and you have been following women, consuming their images, feeding lust, I want you to know that you are part of the problem. Every time you like a revealing photo, you are telling that woman that her worth is in her body. Every time you lust after an image, you are damaging your own soul and hers, and you will stand before God and answer for that. So turn away, unfollow, delete, repent, and choose purity. I wiped my eyes and opened my Bible again. Psalm 139:14 says, I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. I know that full well. You are fearfully and wonderfully made, not because of how you look, but because of who made you. And when you understand that, everything changes. I closed the Bible and looked out at the crowd one last time. I died for 8 minutes, and in those 8 minutes I saw the truth. I saw the damage I caused. I saw the souls I influenced. I saw the consequences of every choice I made, and I was given a second chance I did not deserve. So I am using that second chance to warn you, to beg you, to plead with you. Do not wait until you are standing in eternity to realize your choices mattered. Do not wait until it is too late to turn back. Examine your heart today. Look at your social media. Look at your closet. Look at the way you present yourself to the world. And ask yourself this question: am I glorifying God or am I glorifying myself? I let that question sit in the air. If the answer is yourself, change it. Today, right now. Because your influence does not end with you. It shapes the lives of everyone who sees you, and you will answer for that influence. I put the microphone down and walked off the stage. The altar call was immediate. Dozens of young women flooded to the front, weeping, repenting, surrendering their lives to God. Mothers brought their daughters. Men fell to their knees. The presence of God filled that room in a way I had never experienced. And I stood in the back and watched, tears streaming down my face, knowing that this was why I was still alive. After the service, I was surrounded. Girls hugged me. Mothers thanked me. Men shook my hand and told me they needed to hear that message. One girl, no older than 16, grabbed my hands and looked me in the eyes. I was going to end my life tonight, she whispered. I have been struggling with an eating disorder for 2 years. I have been posting photos I hate just to feel like I matter, and I was done. But I came here with my mom, and I heard your story. And I realized I do not have to live like this anymore. I pulled her into my arms and held her while she cried. You do not, I whispered back. You are loved. You are seen. And you matter. Not because of how you look, but because God created you, and He has a purpose for your life. That moment, that girl, that was why I was still here. I started traveling, speaking, sharing, warning. I went to schools and told students about the dangers of social media. I went to recovery centers and told women about the lies of comparison. I went to prisons and told inmates that no matter what they had done, God could still redeem them. And everywhere I went, lives changed. The girl from Liberty City who showed me her Instagram page, she deleted it. She is now in Bible college studying to be a youth pastor. Jasmine, the 15-year-old who messaged me, she started a modesty movement at her high school. Over 200 girls joined. The woman who cried in the third row at that church in Atlanta, she reached out to me months later and told me she had been struggling with body image her entire life. After hearing my testimony, she gave her life to Christ and now leads a women's Bible study focused on identity in Christ. This is the power of a second chance. This is the power of a warning. This is the power of truth. I am not perfect. I still struggle. I still have moments where I see an old photo of myself and remember the validation it brought. But I will not go back. Because I know where that path leads, and I will never walk it again. The Bible says in James 4:7, "Submit yourselves then to God, resist the devil, and he will flee from you." I submitted, I resisted, and I am free. If you are still here, thank you for listening. I do not know where you are watching from. I do not know what you are struggling with, but I want you to know this. It is not too late. You can change. You can turn back. You can surrender your life to God, and He will give you a new identity. Not one built on likes or followers or appearances, but one built on His love, His grace, His truth. Do not wait until you are standing in eternity to realize your choices mattered. Turn back today.